Hi everyone, Cindy Squirrel here. Well, the cast iron challenge for February 2022 is what Grandma used to make you. Now, my favorite, my dad's favorite, was dressed hamburger. Don't know why it was called dressed hamburger as opposed to undressed hamburger, but anyways, it was my favorite, and I had tried to copycat it when I was married, and it never tasted the same as what Mom and Grandma made. I don't know what I did wrong, so I have phoned my mother and said, write down the recipe exactly the way Grandma and you had to make it for Dad and me. So while we're waiting on the mail and the recipe, because Mom's sending it snail mail, I'll show you pictures of my dad and his family and talk about Grandma a bit. And then when I get the recipe, I'll be back with the recipe. This is my grandma. This is her standing in the kitchen at the farmhouse. She was the third generation to be in that farmhouse, and this is the kitchen, and there seemed to always be a couch in the kitchen, either at her place or her sister's place. I guess it was just what you did back then. You had a couch, probably because you got up so early in the morning, and maybe when the bread was rising you could lay down for a minute. But if you notice, she's doing the dishes on the kitchen table. There's her basin of water, and there's her glasses that she's been washing. There was no plumbing put in this house until we moved in 1971. So Grandma didn't have many luxuries there. No washroom. It was an outhouse, and I could never figure out why on the other side of this door there was another door into the back kitchen. And when I'd go visit Grandma, of course, you always run around in your bare feet outside, and Grandma would never let me come in the house until she brought this basin full of water, and she set it on the bottom step of there, and I'd sit on the top, and I'd have to wash my feet before I came in the house. But I could never figure out why I had to wash them there until it was like I got older, and it was like, oh yeah, because there was no washroom in there. And right about here is the big old wood stove, sort of like what I have now, only one of the old ones, and that's what Grandma cooked on and baked on. And in this kitchen, I remember in the early 60s going there and visiting her. She had this, not sure, maybe a budgie. It was sort of a aqua-colored budgie. And his name was Dewey. And when they got this bird, I guess everybody would come in and say, "What you doing, Dewey?" And after a while, this bird started talking, and guess what he would say over and over and over again? "What you doing, Dewey? What you doing, Dewey? What you doing, Dewey?" It would drive you crazy. And that's when Grandma would throw a tea towel over the cage to shut him up. But Grandma did all her cooking on that wood stove. In the summertime, there was another cook stove out in the back kitchen. She'd use it. So, yeah, memories, eh? This pic was taken in 1948, I would think. And that's my dad there. He's the oldest. This was taken a few months after his dad died of a brain aneurysm. My dad's 14 here, and everybody else is younger than him. So the recipe arrived. my mom's handwriting, so I'll put that right in my recipe box. And it's called dressed hamburger. So you need a 9 by 5 by 3 loaf pan, which I have. And the first step is to make a stuffing or a dressing. And I guess that's why it's called dressed hamburger. So 1 to 2 cups of stuffing. So I've got 2 cups of breadcrumbs that have been sitting on my counter all day. So just make up your favorite stuffing mix. So onions, salt, oh no, I guess that's pepper, and salt, and of course sage. Not sure if that's enough sage. Mix it up because we want it flavorful. Of course, the sage always drops right to the bottom. So I think a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so that's step 1, is the stuffing is made. Set it aside. Okay, now another bowl that is supposed to be 1.5 pounds of ground beef and 1/2 cup of milk. And 3/4 of a cup of breadcrumbs again. Now these are just the breadcrumbs, not the stuffing. Okay, just plain Jane breadcrumbs. What else does Mom say? So that was 3/4 of a cup of that. Salt. And, oh, just a dash of pepper. Okay. And mix that together. Okay, so I mixed that up, and I guess I should have crumbled the bread cubes into crumbs, but I'm sure this will be fine. Okay. Divide in half. Set that aside. Grab your cast iron loaf pan, press it in, and this is where I guess I used to make the mistake. I just layered it. I would put the hamburger, and then put the dressing, and then put hamburger. Now, I would never do it this way, but because this is the way Grandma used to do it, I'm doing it the way Grandma used to do it. Is you put it up the sides too. Okay, well that was very fiddly, making that little well in there. I don't know how they found the time to do that. Okay, so now it says dump your stuffing. I think I've made too much stuffing. Oh, maybe not. Okay, so dump your stuffing in there. And then pack it all down. Oh. Well, isn't that intriguing looking? Now, I would have never thought of this next step, but anyways. Okay, set that aside. Get a piece of wax paper, Mom says, but I'm using parchment. And then you're making your lid. I don't know if I have enough to make a lid. How the heck did Mom and Grandma have time for this? Grandma had 5 kids, Mom had 5 kids. I have no kids, and this is really tedious. Okay, so now it says to slide that onto that. There we go. One lid. And poke it down. Pinch it together. And now it says to bake uncovered at 350 degrees for 1 hour. And Mom put a note here. I sometimes put a glaze on top about halfway through the cooking time. I either use a tomato mixture, but a pineapple glaze goes well. Have fun with it. Love, Mom. I will probably use a ketchup glaze. So I'm going to start my oven and put this in, and in half an hour we'll come out and I'll show you as I put a glaze on. Okay, as per Mom's instructions, I'm going to make a ketchup glaze, which is brown sugar, ketchup, I think that's enough, and I use soy sauce. Oh. And mix that all up. Okay, it needs to be a little bit darker, I think. Now, I'm not sure about what Mom does or what you do, but I drained off, that wasn't very lean ground beef. There was quite a bit of fat in there, so I drained that off. And now I'm just going to pour on this glaze. And pop it back in the oven for another half hour to cook. Well, it's out of the oven, and it's just sizzling. Oh, it looks so beautiful. Just checking. It should be done. Should be done. Okay, I'm not sure how I'll lift this out. Look at that. Oh, that is beautiful. Take another piece out. That one was right along the edge there. What are you waiting for, Daisy? I don't think you're getting a piece. Are you hoping I'm going to drop some? Okay. Oh. Look at that. Thank you, Mom, for sending this recipe. That smells so good. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Much love.